everyone, this is Amelia from BCPL's Parkville branch here with another natural dye lesson. Today I will be demonstrating how to both mordant and dye fabrics using black beans. Black beans are indigenous to the Americas and are a staple in Latin American cooking as well as Cajun and Creole cuisine. And from what I learned in the process of making this video, super easy to dye with. I will also be demonstrating how to mordant fabrics. Mordanting is an important part of the natural dye process because a mordant combines with the dye and allows it to really bind to the fabric. However, not all natural dyes require mordant, so I'm thinking black walnuts, black tea, avocados don't require one, which is why you haven't seen it demonstrated in my previous videos. There are lots of different mordants available for use, but for this lesson I'm going to be using alum because it's a pretty easy one to use and it's readily available in most grocery store spice aisles. The materials that will be needed for this lesson are 1 bag of dried black beans, alum, pre-washed fabric that is preferably a natural fiber like cotton, 3 large pots that are preferably aluminum or stainless steel, a large mixing spoon, a measuring cup and spoons, a small bowl, strainer, food scale, mask, and water. The recipe that I will be using is right out of the Natural Colors Cookbook by Maggie Pate, which is in BCPL's collection. So the first step in this process is to go ahead and open up my bag of beans, pour it into one of the pots, fill up the pot with enough water to completely submerge my fabric, let it sit for 24 hours, stirring it occasionally, and I will be back tomorrow to show you all the next steps. I got up and checked on my bean vat this morning. It is looking good and I have given it a few good stirs. I also just put on a pot filled with enough water to completely submerge my fabric in on the stove on medium heat. While that is going, I'm going to figure out how much mordant I need. The calculations that I'm going to use today are again from Maggie Pate. I want to dye 2 old cotton tank tops. To get their weight, I'm going to place them on the scale. As per the instructions in the book, for every 3.5 ounces or 100 grams of fiber, add 0.4 ounces or 12 grams of alum. Since it looks like my fiber weighs about 8 ounces, I have calculated that to be roughly 2 tablespoons of alum. I have already measured that out and set it aside here. Next, I'm going to take some hot water and pour it into this little bowl to dissolve the alum. For measuring and dissolving alum, it's probably a good idea to wear a mask like this, which I certainly hope you have an abundance of right now. And once it is dissolved, I'm going to add it to my pot of water. Then I'm just going to wet my fabric and drop it into the pot. Keep that on medium-low heat and leave that on for 1 hour, giving it a stir occasionally. Once an hour has passed, I will take it off the stove and let the fiber rest in the mordant bath for at least another 2 hours. So now my fibers are resting back inside in the mordant bath. I have come outside to prepare the black bean dye bath. These have set for about 24 hours. So I have another pot set up, sort of jerry-rigged with a strainer over top, and I am going to pour my beans and water over it. Once the water has completely strained into the pot, it is ready to use. And I am actually going to save these black beans and put them aside to cook with them later. So this is actually a bonus part of this lesson. So once I get the dye bath back inside, I'm going to get the resting mordanted fabric out, give it a little rinse with some water, and just go ahead and drop it in the black bean dye bath, cover it, and let it sit overnight to work its magic. And I will see you tomorrow with the results. So I've left in my tank tops for roughly 24 hours. I then took them out, gave them a good wash with some soap and water, hung them to dry, and these are the results. And I also actually happen to have on a dress that I had already made using black bean dye and the shibori niyamaki technique that I demonstrated in my black tea video. And I also have some silk sari ribbons that I just went ahead and turned into a necklace after dyeing them with black beans by just putting this shark's tooth pendant on the bottom. So there are really endless opportunities with natural dyes and what you can make. And I've actually was quite surprised, if I'm being honest, how much I liked the black bean dye color. It's this very silvery, ethereal blue color. So if you are interested in additional projects and recipes, check out Natural Color by Sasha Dewar. And again, I also used for my video the recipe that was found in the Natural Colors cookbook by Maggie Pate. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching and happy dyeing!